Well, howdy neighbors. Welcome to Cedar Creek Homestead. Hope you're having a wonderful day today. And this video is just about fencing. If you're interested in fencing mainly for cattle, something that'll last you throughout the years, then this is the video for you. If you're not interested in cattle fencing, this will not help you at all. Unless you're just interested how ranchers and cattle farmers, how we survive day by day. Well, this kind of is one of the things. But anyway, it's going to tell you what happened here. This is titled Fencing Gone Wrong, or Fencing Gone Wild. I had, this is a utility easement through here. And when they put the electric poles in, years ago, my grandfather had used this particular pole as a pole for the fence. And it went up, way up in the air. Well, they come through after 50 years or 60, they said, we're going to put in new poles through there. So when they come to this, they said, we're going to cut it off about 5 foot high, the wood post here, if you can see it on the ground, and said, we'll cut it off for you, and it'll make you a good post. And they said, you won't need to do any kind of bracing or anything, because this thing goes so far down in the ground. And they pulled the other poles up, but they left this one and just cut it off. Perfect. Been about 2 years ago. Well, now I've decided to redo the fence and put in new fencing. And I said, well, I'll just use that and I won't put any bracing. Save me time and save me some effort. Well, I got 3 strands ran. When I did the 4th strand and I released my come along where I was stretching the bob wire, I had the bob wire attached to the post just broke and gave way. So my fence all loosened up, everything, all that work. So I've had to start over. So I've decided to go back with steel. And just a little pointer I would say about fencing is when you do something, do the best you can. And these posts, I found, we have a place that supplies steel and they sell pre-cut posts. And here comes the choo-choo train. Hopefully you can hear me over the train. But they sell these pre-cut fence posts. And these are like 4.5 inch round posts, pre-cut, ready to go. And they're on sale. They had a good deal on them. So I got them. They're 8 footers. The idea is to put them in the ground 3 foot. This one's buried just almost 3 foot in the ground. As far as I could get it, there's hard rock underneath here after about 3 foot through here. So you can only go so far. But that'll be plenty good. We took a bobcat with an auger on it and we drilled down as far as the auger would go, as we could hit. Then we put the post in, and we left some of the loose dirt in, and I pushed the post down in that loose dirt because it helps hold it stable and level. So this is perfectly level for me. And I put a sack of that 80-pound sack of that quick right stuff in there, and that'll set up. This dude's already, I just got through doing it, and it's already, I think, hard enough, solid enough, because I take and tamp the ready mix down in there and get it around there. But it's ready. I think I could probably stretch from this, but I won't. I'll wait a week before I do this. And just something about fencing. They say fencing makes good neighbors. So if you are into cattle ranching, a lot of folks getting into these Dexter cattle, these little miniature cattle. I call them banny cattle. Well, if you want to have good neighbors, don't let your cows get out. Get your fences fixed good. Somebody say, well, I can't afford that. You can get smaller posts than this. You wouldn't have to have this big a post, but I got these because they were as cheap as the others. And I was like, man, I'm gonna come back in here. I'll weld some braces. I've got one here you can't see. Actually, I got 2 more posts that way you can't see on camera, but I'll weld these in here and weld me some good braces. Then I'll re-stretch this fence, and I'll have a fence that'll last. I have a gate ordered. It won't be here till next Friday, but I'm gonna weld it on here so nobody can steal my gate. I'll have it welded, and it'll go over there to that next pole and have an entryway here. And I'm doing the same thing all the way down to the end. A lot of work here, but good fences make good neighbors, and it's nothing more aggravating than to have your cows get out. And my good buddy down there, Scott, and Heritage Farms, Texas. I'll put a link to his channel. Check out his channel. He's into cattle ranching, but he put in a lot of new fences and really fixing them up nice. But one of his fences, a tree fell on. I don't care how good a fence you have, if a tree lands on it, it's gone. And he had a cow get out, and as of the last I heard, they haven't been able to find it yet. But check out Heritage Farms, Texas. He also does pecan trees too. If you're into growing pecans, he shows you how to start from finish, from getting a pecan, putting it in some liquid, putting it in the refrigerator all winter, and then what you do the next spring. He's got some interesting stuff on that, but he also has some good fencing stuff. But I had messaged to him the other day that around here, our cattle, they never get out at a convenient time. It's rare that they get out at a convenient time. I went to a funeral a year or so ago, one of my uncles. We were headed over to the funeral. When we left here, all the gates were shut, the cows was up, everything was fine. We go, it's probably a 30-minute drive. We're pulling into the church parking lot. My phone rings, and it's one of my neighbors, and says, all of your cows are out, and they're headed towards the railroad. I normally wouldn't be worried, but if they're heading towards the railroad, and you just heard the train, it's not that far away, and if they get on the railroad track, could wipe out a lot of your cattle, and that does happen every once in a while. So we turned around, me and Josie, we made a beeline back home, and we got back here, and the gate, have a good gate, but the chain that went around to hold the post had broke. The little latch that holds it broke. Just something very, very simple, but yet so aggravating because it happens on the most inconvenient time. I hate for people to stop by and say your cows are out. And I mean, I appreciate them telling me, but it's aggravation because it's always going to be at night or sometime when it's inconvenient. I had some folks call the other day, several people texting me, calling, saying, you got cows out, you got cows out. Well, I was like, I don't think I got any cows out, but I better go check it. Well, my neighbor man stopped and he said, you got 2 cows out over here. And I said, what'd they look like? He said, well, they got big horns. And I said, well, I don't have none with horns. And I said, all of mine have blue tags. He said, well, these have blue tags in their ears. I'm sure they do. So he's an elderly fella. But I appreciated him stopping and telling me because he certainly didn't have to. So I drive all the way over there. And lo and behold, it was somebody's neighbor had bought 2 longhorn steers. And I guess they're raising them for beef. So I really don't know what he's doing with them. But they were out on the road. And I thought, thank the Lord, it ain't my cattle. But my dad used to tell a story about when he was a boy. He was raised right here on this property. And neighbor man, a few miles up here to the north, why he had cow get over on him. And so my grandpa told my dad, said, you go over and tell the neighbor man that he's got a cow out over on us and that he can come and get it when he, needs to come and get it. So Dad goes over there to tell the neighbor man, and he told him, he said, sir, my dad let me come over and tell you that one of your cows is out and over on our pasture. He said, well, do you got plenty of salt out? And Dad said, well, yeah. And he said, well, do you have plenty of grass? And Dad said, yeah, we got pretty good grass. And he said, what about water? He said, oh yeah, we got water. He said, well, my cow will be okay. So Dad come home and told his dad. He thought his dad would be all mad. Well, his dad got a pretty good kick out of it because he knew the man. But my dad wasn't quite sure how to take that. But, I guess they'll be all right. But I'd like my cows to be in my pasture. And in the springtime is the worst time for the cows to want to get out, to me. And they do some in the fall. It seems like there's an instinct in the fall when it goes to getting cool. They really want to feed up, and they like to get all the stuff they can, so they'll start pushing their luck and wanting to get out. But in the springtime, what happens is we keep ours what we call in an area, and I call it the sacrifice pasture. It's going to get a little beat up and stuff, but I will keep them a while and let the grass everywhere else get up and going good before I turn them out. But they'll start stretching their necks through the fence over into the other pastures or along the roadway. The grass will come up real tender and nice. They got stretching their heads through. And if you have any kind of weakness in your fence, they're gone. They'll break that wire, they're out of there. And when one goes, here comes some more, and before long you got your whole herd is out. So they do get out, but trying to build the best fences, and sometimes I see people on YouTube and around here, people that build fences and they do it so cheaply. They'll buy this old cheap gaucho wire. They do things that, I mean, are just, and my thing is, I don't have a lot of the time to get everything done. So, and I do this, I want to get it done right. And I also want it to last, because in 20 or 30 years, say I'm 80-year-old, I'm not going to feel like getting out here and doing this that I've done. This is a lot of hard work here. And it tries on me now, you know, it gets trying on me. But but putting in good corners, I've got 3 corner posts here. I'll try to show you in a minute. But where you're reinforced. Also, we have wildfires here from time to time. It's rare for a wildfire to get clear out to this area, but over here at the woods, we've had wildfires break out. If you have wood posts, they will burn your wood post up. But if you got steel posts, and down through here also, we'll have T-post. Well, if a fire ever breaks out and comes up here, these will last for the rest of my lifetime. I've never put steel post in that did not last forever. I mean, as long as I've been alive, any I've ever put in still. But I've had to change out wood posts that I put in because they rot. And this one here looked pretty good up, this wood telephone or electric pole, but it was rotting down underneath the ground, which there's a reason why they come through here and change these out. These poles aren't cheap, but they left this one right here in line, right with the fence, and I appreciated them doing it. But I should have known better, and if nothing else, I should have at least put one brace up against it, because when you go to stretching 4 wires, when I'm going to do 5 strands through here, by the way, but you go to doing 4 strands, why, you get quite a bit to do. But sometimes fencing goes wrong or goes wild, and you never know what you're going to run into. But even something like this, I've seen folks put in good posts, big posts, and then you go back a year or 2 later, in the post, this end one will be completely up out of the ground. Nothing more aggravating. That's why I do 3. The Bible says the 3-prong cord is not easily broken. So if you do 3 and do it in 3s, I think you'll find it to be a whole lot better. Anyway, I'm going to show you here just a little bit. We took a bobcat with a auger on it, and we dug these holes down. They're approximately 3 foot deep, all the posts, and that's what I try to bury the these steel posts in, is 3 foot deep. 2 foot is around here is pretty sufficient. They say to get below your frost line. There's some rules on that, but I do a lot of stuff. 2 foot's been fine, but 3 foot is better. But this one and this one down here both were perfectly 3 foot. But this one, I could only get it 2 foot, just a little over 2 foot deep. So it stands up like a sore thumb here, and is taller than my other post. So but you know, I've got a cutting torch. So I'm going to cut this off. I'll cut it off level. It don't hurt nothing. It could stay here. I'll put a cap up there, but I think when I go to weld the cap up here, I'll cut it down here. What happened is there is a rock down there, a big rock, and that post auger on that bobcat, you could put all kinds of pressure, but it was hitting something very, very solid. And a lot of this here, if you go very far down here, is just solid bedrock. So thankfully, I got these down. They were able to go, but that was as far as we can get. But I believe a little over 2 foot will be fine, especially since it's in the middle. But if I could have got it 3 foot, I even took the tractor and pushed down on it, thinking I could make it go further, and I just can't. But this will be the thing. I believe with having 3 posts, it'll be fine. But if it don't, I will show you on the video. If it comes up and I'm still going and stuff here in a few years and this comes up, I'll show you my fails as well. But I usually am successful with just 2 corners, but I have oftentimes had one of the corners, I'm gonna get my tripod out of the way. I've had one of these corners, especially this end one, will start wanting to come out of the ground. So if you do 3, and while you're going, it's not all that much more expensive. It's just like getting these bags of Quick Right cement mix and putting in these holes. If you'll do it right to begin with, those cost a little under $4 a bag, and it cost me $12 there, you know, roughly, to do those 3. But I filled them in with that, packed it in good, and you know, that really helps. And but people will shortchange that. They'll get these nice posts and put in the ground. They may just do short holes or whatever. People, I've seen all kinds of stuff happen, but I'm like, why not do it the right way if you're going to take time and do it right to begin with, because you don't want to have to come back and redo it. Now this fence right here is just a cross fence that goes down through here. So it isn't, and I've used old T-post, used T-post on it. So we had my dad got a bunch of them in a bargain deal, and probably 100 or 200 posts, I don't know, but it was a bunch of them at a really good deal, like $1 a piece. So out here in the middle of the ranch where you're not looks, you know, that's the only difference is used T-posts is just they're not painted well, and you can even paint them, you know, come down there. But I'm not out here in the country where I am. Nobody except the deer and the hunters and the cows, that's all, then me is all that's ever gonna see this here fence, so I'm not worried about that part. But the so that part, you know, you can skimp on a little bit. Now if I was down by the highway or the dirt road or something that people see, I like things to look nice. But the looks isn't the most important thing, is if it will hold, if it will stand the test of time. And this being a cross fence, I like to do rotational grazing. So as a cross type fence, why you know what I'm talking about. It's not really going to hurt anything, being that they're not pretty looking. The main thing, I want them to stand the test of time. So when I get old, I tell my son all this all the time. I'm like, son, let's get this fixed right. If I have to spend just a little bit more money, that's okay with me. But when I get another 20 or 30 years on me, I don't want to have to come and redo this stuff. I want it to last. So we've been doing that, and he's gotten on board with me, and he helps me. He's gone today. He's got the day off, and him and his girlfriends went somewhere. So I'm out here by myself having to work, but that's part of it. I do want him to get married sometime. I would like to have grandchildren one of these days. But anyhow, this is how it is here on the farm. Just a little bit of our farming, and I'll try to do another update. Down here at the other end, I've just got the holes dug, and I haven't finished up with it. But when I do, I'll show you a little bit how I'm going to do it. I'm going to put a gate in and do a little bit of pipe fencing, because I've got a little short stretch. Instead of putting barbed wire there, I'm going to put a little bit of piped fencing for probably 25 foot or so there. And when I get that done, I'll show you a little bit how I'm doing that, and maybe be able to show you a few pictures here welding this and stretching it and all of that good stuff. Anyway, I appreciate you watching today. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. I appreciate you watching Cattle Talk with us every Thursday night at 7 o'clock p.m. If you got a suggestion or got a question or something, if I can answer it, I will, or maybe some of the other viewers can answer it. But be sure to put it down in the comments. And we just want to say thank you to all of you. It's fall of the year, and it's such beautiful weather. And I tell you, we couldn't ask for no better. The last few weeks has been just awesome, and I thank God for it. We sure needed this pretty weather. I've got so many things that need to be done, and this pretty weather's allowing me to do it. I want to get it done before it gets cold. I got a feeling we're going to have some cold coming pretty soon, and when it does, I'll still get out and work, but it's harder to do what you want to do when you got to wear a big coat and all that stuff. Anyway, I'm going to show you a little trick my dad did here to pull a T-post up out of the ground. And he made this and got the idea, and I'm sure you can buy stuff like this. I've seen people use jacks to do it, all kinds of different ways. But when you pull up a T-post, one thing is, if you can, you don't want to bend the post, because if you bend it, you'll have trouble. My dad took a piece of metal, cut a square hole like that, And you probably won't be able to tell that far from the camera. Maybe you can, but anyway, you slide it down like this with this part this way if you can. And this little nipple deals here that's on your post, this will catch it. So what we'll do is I'll hook this in on the tractor. I've got a hook on my tractor where I can slide this around. We also have a hay stinger, and you can take this and slide on your hay stinger and pull up also if you want to. But anyway, we'll just take this and put in the hook. I'll show you here on film and let you see what I'm doing here. So there you go. That's how easy it is to pull T-post. If you're working on a fence, say you're doing a whole bunch of these, and if you have a guy out here doing it for you and hooking that hook on, as quick as you can move the tractor, he can be hooking that right on, and you can really pull up the fence post. Me and my dad, we have done a bunch of them. I told him we need to get that patented there, but it's so easy to make. Why not make your own? And I'm sure there's a lot of different versions and ideas, and someone may have already patented that, but anyway, we just something my dad was messing around with one day. He said, I think I'm gonna make a deal, pull post up with. Now that post there was already bent, but it's a used post, and it was bent when we got it. I didn't bend it just now pulling it out. It'll pull them straight up out of the ground, and what we'll do if one's bent, when we drive it in, we'll drive it in a way to try to make it look straight if we can. But that's an old post. It's been used probably a half a dozen times, but anyway, it was in the wrong spot, needed out of there, so it's just so easy to pull up. But that's a little nifty trick there. Next time you if you're going to be doing a bunch of posts, maybe you could build you one, or look and see if you can find something like it, or get a welder, somebody that does welding, see if they can help you. But kind of a little nifty trick that my dad come up with. God bless you. We're gone.